My name is Maya Chamberlin, and I'm the Assistant Director of Friendly House. It is my privilege to tell you a little bit about what's happened in this last year. It was March 11th, 2020, and I was arriving late to the office after a morning meeting off-site. As I walked into the Anderson building, I saw our executive director, development team, and our auction co-chairs huddled in a quiet, closed-door conversation in our conference room. The auction was 2 days away, and we were a community on edge with the threat of a global pandemic looming. The meeting ended, and I can hear my teammates making their way up the narrow staircase and to my office, where Monique, our fearless development director, wide-eyed and smiling, announces, "We're moving the auction online, and it'll be amazing." Friendly House was, if not the first, one of the first nonprofits in Portland to pivot their major fundraiser to an online event. It was brave and bold, and no one had any idea what the impact would be. But that night, Friday, March 13th, this community showed the rest of the state what could be achieved when we all worked together. This event set the tone for how Friendly House would respond in the coming year. It was the beginning of a year that tested our resilience, called upon our shared creativity and flexibility, and gave endless opportunities for living our mission and values in lockstep with our community. The following Monday, Friendly House leadership team met to discuss how we'd address our community's needs during this new reality. We worried about food for children who typically have 2 meals a day at school, and our older adults who could no longer safely get their groceries. We worried about children and families abruptly stuck at home and the impact of closed doors on our homeless friends and neighbors. And weighing heavily on everyone's mind was, how is an organization committed to building community going to protect vulnerable people from the devastating impact of isolation? The reality was upon us, and we knew we needed to find a way to address the needs that were coming. We converted classrooms into staging areas for emergency food boxes. In addition to food, supplies such as toilet paper, diapers, masks, and disinfectant products were dispersed to the people who needed it most. Our teachers checked in with all of our preschool and after-school families and provided one-on-one support to children and caregivers whose lives had changed overnight. Senior program staff discontinued home visits and began a system of regular phone check-ins with older adults who were too vulnerable to leave their homes. Case managers coordinated regular food and prescription deliveries, safe transportation for urgent medical appointments, and matched our most vulnerable and isolated folks with volunteers able to check in daily to be sure their social and emotional needs were being met. In early June, we responded to an opportunity from the Oregon Health Authority and were accepted as a partner. We launched a new project with a 3-pronged approach to fighting COVID-19. We educated our community on how to stay safe in this new world. We provided access and education about testing and vaccinations, and we provided social services to those who lost income as a result of needing to quarantine or isolate due to exposure or contracting COVID-19. I had the opportunity to work with the first family that was referred to us. The Dangs are a household of 7, spanning 3 generations, including Grandma and Grandpa, both in their 80s, and 3 children ranging from 8 to 17, and a very exhausted couple sandwiched in the middle. Grandpa was just returning home after 2 months in the hospital, recovering from the devastating impacts of COVID-19. His son, Dan, was the primary caregiver in the home at the time. Dan explained to me that he tested positive at the same time as his elderly parents and took time off work due to quarantine and to tend to his parents' many needs. His fatigue was palpable through the phone. He shared many times, "I love my family, I owe them everything. The work of caring for them is easy." And his voice grew quiet, and I could hear the unmistakable tremor of emotion. "Maya, I can't pay my bills." The crushing weight of not being able to provide for his family as he had done for so long was taking a toll. He was ashamed that his wife had to pick up extra shifts at the local grocery store where she worked. And now she's sick too. With this final acknowledgement, he sobbed. We were quiet for a moment. He went on to explain that his wife had suggested that their eldest son make the call to Friendly House because his English is better, he explained. But I've not told my wife or anybody how far behind we are in the bills, and I can't tell them. I begin to share with him the ways in which Friendly House and OHA are partnering to help. I explained that we'd have gift cards delivered to them that afternoon, and we'd be able to pay not only the current amount due for his rent, PGE, cell phone, and other utility bills, but that we had separate funds to pay the past due bills also. I took a break in my excited explanation to be sure I wasn't talking too fast. "Mr. Dang, are you still there?" It was silent for a moment, and then he said, "There are no words in my language or yours to tell my thanks." Assistance from OHA and our partners at Multnomah County has allowed us to ramp up our virtual programming for seniors and LGBT older adults. This fall, we launched a new pilot program called Student Success at Home, which matches grade school students with skilled, vetted volunteers who meet remotely with kids who need a little extra academic support or just a new person to talk with about the challenges of distance learning. For families who aren't able to work from home and need childcare, we reopened our preschool and after-school programs under emergency childcare guidance in early August. We opened slowly and carefully to ensure the safety of our families and our staff. It has been a crazy ride, and we know it's not over, but we were able to dig in and help, and that feels so good. The reason that this year went as well as it did under these challenging circumstances all boils down to one thing: our community. We have experienced your generosity, not only your donations, but the generosity of your spirit. The amount of support we've raised every step of the way has made helping possible. This, my friends, is the most important message we have for you tonight. You did this, and you are incredible.